Hello students. So students, in the previous part of this chapter, respiration and energy transfer, we studied about what is respiration. So we studied that respiration, it is defined as a metabolic process wherein the living cells of an organism, it obtains energy in the form of ATP by taking in oxygen and liberating carbon dioxide, and this is done from the oxidation of complex organic substance. So basically respiration, it is the process in which a respiratory substrate, it is broken down to release energy. Okay, then we studied that respiration in higher organisms, there are two parts. So in higher organism, respiration, the first respiration is the breathing process where we are taking in oxygen and liberating out carbon dioxide, correct? And the second one, the second part of respiration in higher organism is that the oxygen that we take in, it reaches the cells where it is broken down to release energy. And this part is called as the cellular respiration. Okay, so one is the physical respiration, the external respiration of taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide, and then there is cellular respiration also takes place in our body, where the oxygen that reaches the cell is broken down to release energy. Then we also studied that there are two main parts of respiration, or you can say there are two types of respiration, the aerobic respiration and the anaerobic respiration. And the basic difference between the two is that in aerobic respiration, oxygen is required. So it is a type of cellular respiration that takes place in the presence of oxygen to produce energy. So the anaerobic respiration is one where oxygen is not required. That means this is a type of a cellular respiration that takes place in the absence of oxygen to produce energy. Okay, then we studied that what happens in respiration. So we studied that in respiration, glucose is broken down into two molecules of pyruvic acid, or you can say pyruvates. So glucose, which is a 6 carbon compound, it is broken down into two molecules of pyruvic acid. So each molecule is of 3 carbon atom. Okay, so this process of glucose being broken down into molecules of pyruvic acid, this is called as glycolysis. Okay, so this is a glycolysis process where the glucose is broken down. Now where does this process take place? It takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, and be it aerobic respiration or be it anaerobic respiration, glycolysis is one, the first step which is common for both. Okay, it is common for aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration. And if we speak about glycolysis as an individual, glycolysis itself is an anaerobic respiration. That means when glycolysis happens, it happens in the absence of oxygen. There is no oxygen required for breaking down of glucose and producing two molecules of pyruvic acids. Okay, now further, what happens to these two molecules of pyruvates or two molecules of pyruvic acid? It depends on in which organism or which cell further the reaction is taking place. So if these two molecules of pyruvic acid, it reacts in an yeast cell, so fermentation takes place where the two molecules of pyruvic acid is broken down into two molecules of ethyl alcohol, or you can say ethanol. And if it is taking place in the muscle cell, that is an anaerobic respiration in muscle cell, then two molecules of lactic acid is produced. Now the difference between the two is that when it is taking place in the yeast cell for production of ethanol or for the production of ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide is liberated. Okay, so carbon dioxide is liberated in this process. Okay, and if it is happening in the muscle cell, there is no carbon dioxide released. Okay, so pyruvic acid getting converted into ethyl alcohol, this is something that is seen in brewing industry. When alcoholic beverages are made, this is how they are made. Okay, it is made by using yeast Okay, and the two molecules of pyruvic acid is then broken down into two molecules of ethyl alcohol. And when lactic acid is produced in the muscle cell, it leads to muscle fatigue, the pain in the muscle that we experience when we do excessive exercise. Okay, that is muscle fatigue. That is because lactic acid is getting accumulated in the muscles. Okay, now in both these processes, be it the lactic acid process or the ethanol process, two ATPs are released. So normally when we speak about glucose giving us energy, we say that it gives 36 ATPs, but that only happens in aerobic respiration. In anaerobic respiration, only 2 ATPs are released. Okay, so now let us discuss about aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, we discussed that it is in the presence of oxygen, and glycolysis is one common step. Okay, so of course then glycolysis will be the step for aerobic respiration as well. Now here when we studied about glycolysis, we studied it in a very simple way. We studied that glucose is being broken down into two molecules of pyruvic acid. But when we actually, if you remember in the previous part, when we actually saw about the glycolysis process, we saw that it is a complete 10-step reaction. Okay, then we studied that glycolysis in aerobic respiration is followed by Krebs cycle, which takes place in the mitochondria. That is followed by ETC, that is electron transport chain, which also takes place in mitochondria but the inner membrane of mitochondria. And the last process is oxidative phosphorylation, which takes place in the F1 and F0 particle of mitochondria. Okay, so this is something that we have studied. Then in aerobic respiration, we studied the first two phases, that is the glycolysis and the Krebs cycle. So in glycolysis, we studied that it is an anaerobic process where glycolysis, if we break down this word, glyco means glucose and lysis means breaking down. So a process where glucose is broken down into pyruvic acid is the process of glycolysis. Now here we also studied that the first half of this process is where the energy is invested. Okay, the energy is invested in the first half process, and after the breaking down of fructose 1,6 biphosphate into glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate and dehydroxyacetone phosphate, after this process is the second half of glycolysis where the energy is given. That means in the first half where the energy is invested, in the second half the energy is paid off, the investment is paid off, and through this 10-step process at the end pyruvic acid is formed. Okay, so this is what we have studied in the process of glycolysis. Next, we also studied about the Krebs cycle, where we studied that Krebs cycle, which is also called as the TCA cycle. Why is it called a TCA cycle? Because it is also called as a tricarboxylic acid cycle. So Krebs cycle because it is named after the scientist. So this is the process that takes place in the mitochondria, and the pyruvic acid that is produced in the process of glycolysis participates in the process of Krebs cycle. Okay, so when pyruvic acid forms acetyl coenzyme A, and then acetyl coenzyme A forms a complete process where ATP is synthesized. With ATP at certain number of places there are some reducing powers that takes place. Okay, so NAD is broken down into NADH 2 at 3 places, and FAD is broken down into FADH2 at one place. So all these reducing powers will be useful further when we study about ETC, that is the electron transport chain, and the oxidative phosphorylation. Okay, so this is what we have done in the previous part. Now in this part we will move to the second half of this chapter, where we will be studying the two important parts, or the next two important phases of aerobic respiration. So now without wasting any time, let us start with ETC, that is the electron transport chain. Now we saw that in Krebs cycle as well as in glycolysis, NADH2 and FADH2 is produced. Okay, So this NADH2 and FADH2, they will release electrons, okay, that will pass through this chain. Now if you see this structure, the blue color structure that you see in the middle is actually the inner membrane of mitochondria, okay, and inner to it, that is the right side, will be the matrix, whereas the left side is the intermembrane space, and outer to this is the outer membrane. Okay, so you just have to remember that this is the matrix region and this is the intermembrane region, intermembrane space region. Okay, and in between there is this inner membrane of mitochondria where actually this ETC or the electron transport chain takes place. Now, the other thing that you have to see is these intrinsic proteins. So there is a chain of intrinsic protein in the inner membrane of mitochondria through which actually the electron transport takes place. Okay, so these are actually the electron acceptors in this process of electron transport process or electron transport chain. So now, as I said, that the NADH or the FADH that is produced in the process of glycolysis and Krebs cycle will here release electron that will pass through these chain. So as you can see over here, that NADH2 that is produced will give one electron, a pair of electron, okay. It will also give a pair of proton, and NAD will be regenerated. Okay, so three things are happening. NAD will give a pair of electron that will pass through this chain. It will give a pair of protons that will get accumulated into this matrix region, and then the NAD will be regenerated. So suppose when one NADH2 will give one pair of electron, this pair of electron will pass through the first electron acceptor over here. Now one thing you also have to understand over here is that in this complete process there are four complexes, there are four electron chain complexes. So this is one complex, this is the other complex, the third complex and the fourth complex. Okay, so there are four electron chain complexes. Now when the electron is passing through these intrinsic proteins, so as it passes through the first complex, it will, these electrons will pass through each of this complex and it will release an energy that will be used to pump the pair of protons from the matrix to the intermembrane space. So every time it passes through one complex, a pair of proton will be passed through this inner membrane to the intermembrane space. So as you can see, besides each of this complex there will be one pair of proton. Okay, can you see it on this side? Okay, so this is because the electron is passing through the chain. So as this electron will go down this energy gradient and it will pass through the second complex, it will again release some energy, and the energy will be used to pump another pair of proton from the matrix to the intermembrane space. Okay, then it again passes through the third complex where the same thing happens, that as it passes through the third complex there will be again a pair of protons that will be passed to the intermembrane space. And as it passes through the fourth complex, okay, so in the fourth complex what happens, the last electron acceptor or the last intrinsic protein is A3. Okay, so as you can see over here, so as it passes through this A3, it will go back to the matrix region, and as it goes back to the matrix region, the pair of electron is given to the atom of oxygen. So here if you can see, there is this atom of oxygen. So the pair of electron is given to the pair of the atom of oxygen. Okay, now a pair of electron, as it is given to the atom of oxygen, a pair of proton also comes and binds to this oxygen, and together they produce a water molecule. So a water molecule is produced into the matrix region. And what happens into the intermembrane space? In the intermembrane space, there is high concentration of pair of protons. Okay, so this is what is happening in the ETC or the electron transport chain. Each NADH2 will give a pair of electron, it will give a pair of proton, and NAD will be regenerated. And as the pair of electron passes through this energy gradient or passes through these intrinsic proteins, as it comes to each of the complex, at three places it will pump a pair of proton from the matrix region to the intermembrane space. Okay, and at the end, from the fourth complex, it will go back to the matrix region where it will be given to the atom of oxygen. This atom of oxygen in the matrix region will also get a pair of protons from the matrix, and together it will produce a water molecule. Okay, and here the role of ETC is completed. Now after this, let us also study about the last and the you can say one of the important, you can say the most important process of aerobic respiration, that is the oxidative phosphorylation process. Now oxidative phosphorylation process, it is the last step of aerobic respiration. So previously we have seen that in Krebs cycle as well as in the glycolysis process, FADH2 and NADH2, it gets dissociated, and in ETC electrons move. Okay, so FADH2 and NADH2 got dissociated in glycolysis and Krebs cycle, and electrons, they moved through the electron transport chain in ETC cycle. So this is what we saw. Okay, so we saw that the energy was released every time, and every time the energy was released, a pair of proton was pumped into the matrix of the intermembrane space. Okay, so here if you see, this is the intermembrane space. This is the intermembrane space, and this intermembrane space is full of pairs of protons. Okay, so the intermembrane space, there is a high concentration of protons that is formed. So this is the intermembrane space, this is the inner membrane space, and this is the matrix region. Okay, so now let us see what actually happens over here in oxidative phosphorylation process. So now these protons which are accumulated or which are at a high concentration in the intermembrane space, they tend to go back to their normal concentration. That means they tend to go back from the intermembrane space to the mitochondrial matrix. Okay, and before we move to the process, I also want you all to see that the F1 and F0 particle. Okay, so this is the F1 F0 particle, this is the F0 particle, and this is the F1 particle which is embedded into the mitochondrial matrix. Okay, so now as the protons, they move, they tend to move into their normal concentration. When the protons, they move, they can only pass through this gate or this channel, and this is called as the F1 F0 particle. They can only, as you can see, they can only move through this channel of F1 F0 particle. So when the proton, they pass through this F1 particle, which also act as the ATPase. What do you mean by ATPase? ATPase means that this F1 particle acts as an enzyme that is going to hydrolyze, or you can say that is going to hydrolyze ATP. Okay, this is going to hydrolyze ATP. So this energy will help us to join the energy that is produced over here. So as you can see, there is a straight line drawn over here. That means as the protons are moving, there is an energy that is produced, and this energy that is produced, it will help us to join the ADP to an inorganic phosphate. And as the ADP joins or binds to the inorganic phosphate, an ATP is generated. Okay, so that you can very well clearly see into the mitochondrial matrix, that because of this energy that is produced from the movement of protons, the ADP will bind to the inorganic phosphate, and every time the ADP binds to the inorganic phosphate, ATP will be generated. Okay, so that is how we can say that from one NADH2, 3 pairs of protons were pumped out. Okay, so what happens over here, if you just pay attention to this, from one NADH2, 3 pairs of protons were pumped to the intermembrane space, and every time a proton moves back to the mitochondrial matrix, 1 ATP is produced. That means 3 ATP will be produced by 1 NADH2. Okay, so 1 NADH2 is worth 3 ATP. Now, what is the difference between NADH2 and FADH2? When FADH2 is broken down, or you can say FADH2 is produced, there is only 2 pair of electron that is pumped out. Okay, so this is what you have to remember, that during the time of NADH2, 3 pairs of protons are pumped out, and in the case of FADH2, only 2 pairs of protons are pumped out. That means 1 FADH2 is worth 2 ATPs. So because there are 2 protons that are pumped out, each proton will give us 1 ATP. So when FADH2 produces the proton or pumps the proton, only 2 ATPs will be synthesized, whereas when NADH2 will pump the proton, because it pumps 3 protons at a time, 3 ATPs will be produced. So this is the basic difference between FADH2 and NADH2. Okay, so that is how, students, we produce ATP. This, because of this oxidative phosphorylation during aerobic respiration, at the end of this oxidative phosphorylation, we tend to produce 36 ATPs. So students, with this we finish all the important parts of this chapter of respiration and energy transfer, and with this we also end this chapter. In the next part, we will be starting with the next chapter of your syllabus.